Sharing my screen. Okay, great. All right, well, thank you for being here today, Derek. Everybody who's watching, we have Derek Taylor, who is the, let's make sure I get this right, the VP of Product Technology at JPAR, right?
That's right.
Cool. And JPAR, is that the name of the company? I should know this, but is that an abbreviation for something, or is it just JPAR and Associates or JP and Associates?
So we just went through a rebrand. We are now officially JPAR Real Estate. That's our official title and name, and excited about that piece of it. Cool.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be cool to have you on one of these sessions. Stop my share for a minute. Just to talk to you, you guys have been a user of KV Core going back a while now, right? A good number of years, all the way back to conversion, I think.
Yeah, we were one of the we're the OGs.
One of the OGs, and you transitioned into KV Core, and I thought it might be cool to hear from your perspective, kind of how you view. You're kind of an executive at a real estate company, but I know you've also used the platform yourself, or as a team.
I've got a small team that they're my test lab, my test subjects for everything we're doing.
Right, and
God love them. They get to put up with the stuff that works and doesn't work, like every day, and throwing something new at them.
Right. So you're kind of in a similar role to me, where you're kind of designing the flows that your team is using.
Yeah, partly. Most of the things that I work on with JPAR is just picking the tech stack and making sure that we can communicate it effectively with the agents and they understand how it works. And then on the other side of it, I have a small team that we just actually test little new things out every once in a while, add an integration here or there just to see how it's going to work.
Cool. So yeah,
kind of similar to you.
Yeah, so that's where I thought it might be cool to take this. The first question I had might be one around adoption and getting your team to adopt technology. Do you find that that's a challenge, or do you typically have agents who are already engaged and they're asking for it? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So adoption for us, we've had a lot of success with getting our agents to adopt the platform. But be able to do that, we had to, first of all, make sure that they knew that it was safe.
Okay.
I know that sounds weird, but we want to make sure that all of the people that we add to the platform know that when they upload their contacts and their information, that data is theirs and they get to keep it and use it and take it with them. And if they ever leave, then they take it with them and it's deleted from the system. So that's kind of the initial conversation that we have, because it comes up in every onboarding session we do with the new agents. And it's also a pitch that competing brokers throw out there all the time, oh, they're going to steal your information or things like that, just sometimes grossly false. So we want to make sure, number one, that they feel comfortable using it. And then we want to make sure that when we're showing them how to use it, we start with the basics, the things that really matter initially, and that's building your sphere of influence, using it as a relationship manager, just the basic CRM pieces of it, right? Everything else is just building blocks on top of that.
All right, so you start agents, you say, hey, you need to have a database. I assume this is how the conversation goes. We're giving you KV Core to just get to the basics of having a database and then managing relationships.
Yeah, so initially it's a conversation not even about KV Core, just more about, do you know who's in your sphere of influence and how do they get to be in your sphere of influence? What does it mean to have a sphere of influence? And then the next thing is at least put it down somewhere. If it's an Excel spreadsheet, if it's on a notebook, if it's on, make sure that you have that so that you can create a system of a follow-up that will allow them to stay top of mind with their sphere of influence, the people that are most likely to recommend business to them or use them. And that's pretty easy for us to communicate when we just show some math. 20% of the people in your sphere of influence, if you contact them about 40 times a year, they're going to be either referring you or sending you a deal.
So 20%. So if you contact 40 times a year, about 20% will either refer. This is important, the referral part, right? Or directly do a deal. So I think
Yes.
everybody focuses on the actual transaction generated by the actual contact, but there's just as much referral activity going on if you talk to top producers.
Yeah, absolutely. You know that was a stat, something like 85% of your database is not going to move this year, or maybe not next year, right? But they do know someone that will. So if you're building this system like this, then you can kind of build a predictable business. How many people are in my sphere of influence? Take that times the average sales price times the average commission times 20%, and there's your GCI for the year.
Cool. So more people in sphere times average side.
Yeah.
Times commission rate, right?
Yes.
Times 20%.
Times 20%.
Equals GCI.
Yep. So think about it, 100 people in your sphere of influence with an average sales price of $250,000 and an average commission of 3%.
Right.
That is $150,000 in GCI. Times 20%.
Yeah. And that math works out to 150K.
Yeah, that's 150K. It's a good median price across the US. It resonates with people, and talking to our top producers that are sphere of influence based, this math works out plus or minus 2 or 3% every single time we do it.
So that's just 100 people in your sphere.
Yeah, just you didn't buy a single lead. You didn't you didn't really do anything except create a solid 40 touch personalized program that is all about them and not about you.
This is interesting. We had Donna Stott on a month or two ago. I don't know if you know her. She's a coach, and she talked about having 150 people who really work and stay in contact with in a deep way using your database. So that's very interesting. So if you can take your 100 to 150 with your math, that takes you to a nice healthy 225K. So I like these numbers.
Yeah, it was scaled up to 200. That's 300,000 GCI. Now, here's where it gets difficult, right? Is take that math and break it down. 40 touches times 100 people,
right,
is 40,000 touches.
Right. So now, what do you consider a touch? So that would be 4,000 touches.
4,000 touches. Thank you.
Yeah. So what's a touch? Is it just an email going out of KV Core, or is it a little deeper than that?
So I'm a little bit more picky on a touch. So, number one, your first touches have to be actual phone conversations.
Okay.
And I kind of break that down into a 15-minute phone call where, you have a good conversation about them and their life and what's happening with them. And the very, very end of the phone call is basically the Buffini mayor campaign question, which is the same question that people have to answer to even get into my sphere of influence, and which is, if you know anybody that has a real estate need, or if you have one in the future, do you feel comfortable using me as your agent? At the end of that phone call, it's a more direct ask, who do you know? But the only way to enter the sphere of influence in my world is answering that question affirmatively. Yes, I will use you or refer you, or I will, I have already done business with you in the past, which shows to me that they're ready, willing, and able to do it, right? So past clients or people who have answered that question correctly.
So it's very explicit. You're getting them to commit. I haven't gone through about Buffini stuff. I was aware of this question, but that's an important part, is kind of getting them to commit to that. So,
yeah, it is. It is. I think because I'm going to be spending a little bit of money and a lot of time on that person. So I want to make sure that they're invested with it, the same way that I am and our team is.
Right.
But then the question is, how do we scale this, right? 4,000 touches. And like you said, what's a touch? A touch is an email that was opened. I know that I can send mass emails to lots of people through KV Core, and I love that I can see if they got opened or not. So a touch would mean that they opened the email. A touch is going to be a quick text message with a question at the end of it, but it's more personal, or like a joke or whatever, something that's going to ask them to reply back to me, so we're engaging in a conversation. A video email, a video text through the system works really, really well for some of that stuff. A pop by, I absolutely love doing pop bys. And then an event, having some sort of event where you're meeting them face to face.
Are you using mail as part of, is that a touch?
Yeah, direct mail also. Yeah, direct mail, something handwritten. And as you scale, I would say handwritten-ish.
Yeah.
Right. So something that looks like you handwrote it, and also that you put some thought behind it that was related to them.
Yeah.
But then you think about all that, it's going to take me maybe 10 minutes to manually do everything in that list. So 10 minutes times 4,000 touches is about 3 hours a day if I take a 3-week vacation during the year.
Okay.
So that's at 100 contacts. How do I make $300,000 now? Because I can do 3 hours a day just on my sphere, right? That's doable. And a lot of people do. A lot of people are happy with $150,000 in income, 20 deals a year. And that's a good business. It's a good income. But if you want to scale it, you're going to have to add automation into it.
Yeah.
And that's where we reduce the amount of time to do a touch by automating things inside KV Core.
Gotcha. So reduces the amount of time to do touches. So there was a lot there. This has already been worth the cost of admission for me, because I'm a very lead focused and then generate conversation off of very cold leads. And you're saying kind of what Donna said was, well, let's just focus on the really quality people in our sphere. And I'm sure we could use cold lead generation sources to arrive at these people to generate that first phone call. But this is really interesting. So let's talk about the amount of time to a touch, and the automated things you're doing. You mentioned video emails. Have you found that your team has been quick or slow to adopt something like Core Video or BombBomb? Or is it hard to get them over that hurdle?
A lot of people feel a little hard. It's the same thing we hear a lot. Yeah, you hear it a lot. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like, any of that. A former broker of mine, great friend, recently passed away. She's amazing. She basically said, I hate the way I sound, and I hate the way I look on video too.
Yeah.
But and she says, you guys have seen my videos. They're not good. But you all opened them and you all watched them. And that's all I really wanted. All I wanted you guys to do was open and watch it and engage with it. And it's the same thing for you guys. You can't change the way you look, and you can't change the way you sound. And you're probably your biggest critic. So yeah, getting our team over the hurdle of using the video, email, video, text is difficult sometimes, but it all comes down to habits. Everything we're talking about here, the entire use of a CRM is based on your daily habits and things that you do with it. Has nothing to do necessarily with the technology. And so that's where I think we've been successful in generating more adoption, is just by talking about, let's not even worry about how smart you have to be or how you have to figure out how Zapier works and all that other stuff. Let's just figure out the habits that you need to do every day to generate a predictable income with people that you already know. And then we'll fill in the holes, we'll fill in those gaps to make sure, using online lead gen to get you where you need to be.
I love it. So, man, there's a lot there, Derek. All right. So I'm personally a fan of the habit thing. Everything I do is based on a recurring appointment in my Google Calendar. I even put really dumb things on there. Like if I have a project, I just set it recurring daily until the project is done. So what you're, even if it's like like we have a bill, I'll give you an example. We have a flood insurance bill due on November 1st. And my wife was like, remind me to do the flood insurance bill. So I just set a recurring appointment last week and it keeps popping up every day. I haven't paid it yet, but
Yeah, no, it's a great idea.
yeah,
I come across this kind of, people are kind of bucking it just a little bit when I say, hey, what are you doing to create these habits?
right.
And I'm like, you just need to make sure that you tell your CRM make sure it's telling you what to do, and then you do what it says, right?
Right.
You got to think of your CRM as a great friend who absolutely loves you and is giving you a little bit of tough love. And if you listen to it, then you'll be successful. And then they'll come back and say, I'm not going to let a CRM boss me around. I'm my own boss. I'm like, well, sometimes I'm in that conversation where they're struggling. Yeah. And then I'll have to come back and say, here's some tough love. You suck as a boss. You're not doing a very good job of telling yourself what to do. And it's time to, because you're still telling yourself what to do. You're just letting your CRM remind you, but it's a mindset. It's all about creating systems and habits that you will do every single day to make these things work.
So I assume you guys, so when we talk about plugging these 40 touches in, are these implemented via smart campaigns for the most part?
Yeah. Smart campaigns are the way to go.
Yeah.
To automate, because first of all, even if you're not automating, right, you can create a smart campaign that just reminds you to call somebody, or actually they even call you,
Right.
I love how the system will just call you, and all you got to do is answer your phone, and you'll be connected to your friend Bill, and you can talk about Bill and his kids and their soccer team, right? Whatever you need to do.
Yeah. So this is what Derek's alluding to, is this, when you have a task in a smart campaign, you can see here, if I do a call action, I can just tell it to call me. So, in your past client campaign, for example, or your Sphere campaign, you could just have day 30 into the campaign. It'll just, you click the button, it shows up there in KV Core on your task list, and you click the call, right?
Yeah. So when you build this campaign out, I'll just give you a pro tip from learning the hard way. Don't add everybody to the same campaign at once.
Yeah.
Specifically if it's phone calls, right? Because on May 5th at 7 p.m., you're going to get like 100 phone calls from KV Core.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of stagger them as you add them into it. And that really, so it's doable and it makes sense. But
if you're being intentional about who gets into that group of 100 or 150, you shouldn't be adding more than 1 or 2 a day, or even 1 or 2 a week after a while, right? It sounds like what you're talking about is quality over quantity.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, if you're able to generate 5 or 6 quality contacts into your system, that's amazing. We really want our agents to spend less time behind the computer and more time out in the field. So grabbing, the KV Core mobile app, opening it up when you talk to somebody, and just putting it in there immediately is the habit that you need. And people understand, like, oh, hold on 1 second. And I'll just hand them my phone, like, hey, do you mind? It's like I've been married for quite a while, but I see on TV now, when you're dating, right, you want someone's telephone number, you hand them your phone, ask them to put it in. It's the same thing, right? We're dating. We're just looking for real estate deals instead of a romantic relationship. So
it's funny, Derek. I was watching a famous UFC fighter. I don't know if anybody's seen this. He had a video out, Sugar Sean O'Malley, trying to pick up girls on a college campus. I was just watching this the other day, and I love that example. And I think now I feel challenged to go walk down to a college campus and just have real estate conversations. Like that'd be a fun video, right? You and I should do it. I'll come down to Texas, and we'll walk around and film ourselves. But it can be that easy, if you don't overthink.
Yeah, you just have to put yourself out there, right? But even more intentional, put yourself in a place where a likely buyer or seller will be. We've had tons of agents having amazing luck with open houses right now, because people stopped doing them after COVID, and now that Texas is wide open these days, where I live, so you can have open houses and not feel like you're going to get criticized for it. But doing those, I've got an agent that does 4 to 5 a weekend, and he's closing 7 to 8 deals off of those a month, every time.
So it's free. It's free. It's not free. He's spending his time. He's giving up parts of his weekend, but there's very low risk there because he's not investing in a lead source that may or may not pan out. He's putting himself in a spot to have conversations with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone who is more intentional. And that's my favorite, buzzword when I'm looking at even online lead gen, initially is intentionality. So once we get them into our sphere of influence, then we just work them down through the sales pipeline based upon their personal journey. And once we find that they have high intentionality, then we really pour it on until, we get them in either a buyer's rep or a listing agreement. So I love having that client journey or the statuses in KV Core to allow us to stay organized with the people that we really need to be talking to.
So are you doing that mostly with hashtags, or you're just kind of moving through the regular statuses?
I like to go through the regular statuses. Yeah, I'm working on more kind of campaigns that hashtags can show specific intentionality.
Right.
Right. So I'm selling my house because I'm getting a divorce, or I'm moving to Wisconsin, or whatever. So trying to create those subgroups and with our hashtags of their direct intentionality can also help us create more specific follow-up campaigns for each subgroup there. And actually I've been playing around a little bit with structurally trying to get that because if you ever heard of structurally, it's an AI powered chatbot.
I have, and I'm glad you're bringing that up because I think what you've given everybody here so far is awesome. Like just this exercise of working through the numbers, focusing on the sphere. But I had a feeling you would have a lot to say about emerging technologies, like structurally, and maybe we can do a brain dump on that. Would you mind if I just took a second though? I'm going to look at some of the questions. We'll kind of break it up here and get into some of the tech. Let's just see. Rich Schaefer is saying, when getting engagement, he's found that older agents that he's tried to convince to use the system struggle with the broad spectrum of add-ons and things KV Core has. Do you, in your role, Derek, or JPAR in general, do you guys invest in additional training either through KV Core or through, third-party coaches or put on by your company to help educate and train agents?
Yeah, no, great question. So we recently launched a Train the Trainer program specifically on technology to put that in the field, because we're in, I can't keep a track of the number of states we're in right now. And there's just me, like there's only me. And I can't constantly be teaching all 3,500 agents because here's the deal. What we know is agents don't want to know something until they need to know it.
Yeah.
So putting them in front of, so we want to create a space where, we're doing the training often. We're doing it many times because we know we have a couple hundred agents joining every week, and we need to make sure that, they're up to date too. And then agents, as they feel like they want to learn more, then they'll jump into the training. But we also wanted to give them, as much of a local person that they could talk to about this. So we've kind of built this Train the Trainer program, but we built the Train the Trainer program around the training that you guys already have.
Okay.
So they're pulling up the videos for the agent success plan and walking through that. Then I'll make some notes to JPARize it a little bit so they can see, what maybe specific integrations we've added or what makes our KV Core not your dad's KV Core. That's what I like to say. And then they're able to deliver that content in a format that's easily digestible with people who have multiple learning styles, visual, all that. And then they can actually kind of have their computer in front of them and start doing some stuff, which helps those tactile learners too. And I love what you guys are doing. I will say, since I've got you, since you changed the UI, we'd love to see you change the videos to represent the new UI. at some point.
Well, the good news is it's very, very underway, that project.
Yay.
And it's
I knew you guys were on
launching.
top of it.
Yeah, we're on top of it. And actually, maybe I'll give everybody here a sneak peek. We're going to have a learning page inside of the actual dashboard of KV Core, where you'll be able to jump directly into those courses. You won't have to kind of mess with that that experience of going into the learning portal and trying to find stuff. But as part of that, we've rebuilt the agent success plan. It'll be a quick start, and the dashboards will all look the same, Derek. So.
Perfect.
As you can imagine, took a little while because you can't record those first before the new new dashboard is live. It needs to go live, and then you need to do it. So that's
I can't wait for the new changes coming. I'm super excited.
Yeah, very soon. I'm hoping maybe, I think we're shooting for November 1st. So pretty soon. And it's great to hear, you're taking this JPARizing thing, makes a lot of sense to me. You're taking our content. We've got a handful of trainers here, each with our own styles. I've gotten feedback that I'm too fast, stuff like that. So, but everybody who is a KV Core customer, you're welcome to take any of our content and arrange it in any way that you want to fit your business. And you guys are probably doing it better than almost anybody, out there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So to answer Rich's question, you're putting a little work into developing your own training programs. You're not necessarily hiring outside sources. It sounds like it's an in-house endeavor.
It is. We found that we have a large agent population that likes to give back. Yeah. So we ask for volunteers. We do pay them for the work that they do because we're pulling them from their business.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that they're a right fit. Do they have a heart for teaching? Are they there to change lives, which is what we want to do on a daily basis. And once we find the passion for it, then we just plug them in. And it's just about sharing our passion for teaching and helping people change other people's lives through real estate. When we get that buy-in, then it's easy because they're doing it because they love it and not because we're calling them and asking them to do it.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. So you're kind of engaging your existing agents, turning them into trainers. I personally, I really miss selling real estate, but the excuse I make up in my head or that motivates me is that, hey, I'm helping the very thing you just talked about. I'm helping other people sell more houses and like you said, change lives. So it's an indirect path, but it's a really cool path. Cool.
I 100% agree.
Yeah. So Dennis is asking, what is the time frame from the start of the 40 touches to obtain a positive result? That was a year, 40 touches?
Yeah. So if you do your 40 touches over the next year, then during that year, you should get your 20%. But, it may take you the last quarter to get the last 10%. Who knows? It just depends on kind of what the market looks like, what your sphere looks like, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good thing. I think, guys, I know that I'm guilty of going too heavy on the cold lead generation sometimes, but this keeps coming up for those of you listening to the session who are next level members, the idea of just really, really massaging that small sphere. I mean, 100 doesn't sound small, but it's pretty small, it's a really big deal.
It's a good launching point too, because then they get more interested. We tried, this is our bottom-up approach of getting the agents who aren't necessarily super tech savvy plugged in and using this on a daily basis to where they feel like they're delivering content and their own personality into everything they're doing. And then they start to adopt the tool. We also do some top-down pushing, which is sharing, what's high level, what's capable, what the system can actually do if you really get into it. But we found that sometimes that intimidates people a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And they're a little scared to jump into it because they don't think they can ever get there to that level, when in reality, you'd be amazed how fast you can get there as you go through this piece of it.
Yeah, if you're just coming in and you're working individual contacts, you can't help but occasionally click on other stuff from day to day. And it's kind of like an osmosis effect, or, you pick up a tip here and there. But if you try to do all of KV Core at once, you lose your mind.
It's learning a language by immersion. If you drop you into Germany, eventually you'll speak German.
Yeah. Yeah. Good way to put it. All right, so now let's get to the fun stuff. I think I got through the questions. So so structurally, you guys are integrating. Very interested to hear how you're kind of
Well,
merging.
I'll say this is not JPAR integrating it. This is just me playing with it.
Okay.
Trying to find different ways to automate some of those more intentional hashtags into the system at scale. So once we figure out the specific reason, and you can choose different scripts and structurally, the one they have that's base is really good. You can also get the hatch one, which I think is also good. So I've just been playing with that a little bit, but they're not, the only one. Is trying to find one that has a decent, just a decent AI response.
Yeah.
It's difficult to find. And I think that AI itself is going to really help agents over time as it starts getting added into the system.
It's in its infancy still, even though the buzzword's been around. It feels like every year there's a couple of steps taken forward on this front, right?
Yeah, baby steps. AI's, I did some reading about a book on AI, and it was talking about the steps that we'd have to go until we get to maybe some sort of like real scary AI, right? And we're still in the infancy of trading, it's still trying to learn how to talk like a human so that we understand it. And that's fine. So structurally it's a little bit difficult to integrate into the system just because they don't have a decent Zapier.
Oh, they don't yet. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't yet. So for us, it's kind of manual, but it's also a second telephone number and a second person, which also is intriguing to me. So it's like most of the people that are online leads for us, they've been on like 7 websites, right? They're not just on one website.
Yeah.
And ours was one of them. So they're getting responses from multiple people. And sometimes we're finding that they're actually engaging more with one text message. They just kind of pick one.
Yeah.
So it's still us on both sides of it, but they'll pick one that they feel like they want to talk to, and then they'll just unsubscribe from the other ones, which is also weird. But so now we have 2 fishing poles in the water. I don't know, it's an interesting thing I'm just trying to explore myself.
Yeah, you feed it the data, and that's in theory, that's what AI should do. A program like Structurally should be learning which ones work and which don't, right?
Yeah, but we're still sending text messages through KB Core also. So
yeah,
it's not the response. We have mirrored responses or redundant systems. So in case one system fails, we have a backup.
Did you like my stop hack from earlier?
I love that. Absolutely love it. I'm going to actually, when I'm going to be on a plane on Monday, I'm going to jump into KB Core and start changing some of those things by doing that.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
For anybody watching, we mentioned it maybe a week or 2 ago on these sessions. By putting a stop word in your text, it eliminates the stop language that encourages people to unsubscribe. So you can see here I have a space between stop and ping right here to get stop in there. Yeah, there you go, Brittany. So Brittany's asking to use Zapier or a webhook to connect Structurally. I think that's probably what you're trying to figure out now, right, Derek?
Yeah, I've been on the phone with the Structurally people trying to figure out how to best make that happen.
Connect them up with me. I mean, I can probably get them talking to the right people on our side to explore an integration, if they want.
Yeah. No, that would be great.
Yeah. If it's not already happening, I don't know who's talking to who yet. But what else besides Structurally? Have you got? I know you guys have a lot going on over there. What's popular with your agents?
We've had some good luck with BuySide and that our integration with BuySide and KB Core.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed them. They're enterprise only, but they've been a good partner for us as well. And it's more about kind of creating a report and then dishing it back.
Yeah. Yeah, we're making some progress there. What else?
So we also launched a platform called SureSale, which is helping all of our agents get in front of people and give them every option to sell their house. Whether it's buy before you sell, traditional sale. That video right down there is probably the easiest way to explain it, the first one.
This one? Okay, I'll drop this to everybody. Looks like there's a press release from Riz Media. So is this kind of like, and I don't want to use the term because I know it has bad connotations sometimes, but this is sort of like an iBuyer thing or different?
No, it's 100% like an iBuyer thing. So
Okay.
what we're looking at is this change in the way consumers want to sell their house, right? Everybody wants the Amazon experience for everything they do, not just ordering cutlery from the internet, right? They want to sell their house quickly, and they want to have control, and they want visibility, they want transparency into everything that's happening. So with Sure Sale, we're going to give them some estimates on what they might get if they went a traditional sale, which we call JPAR lists. If they went with JPAR trades, which is the buy before you sell piece. And we actually have multiple buy before you sell people plugged into the platform. People that you probably heard of, Ribbon Knock, et cetera. And there's a lot of them. And then also the JPAR instant offer section, which is, we're going to give actual cash offers from the iBuyers, institutional buyers, et cetera, that we have in the system, which is a lot of them. So we've mapped out across the United States where all of these people are buying or selling. And we're able to take that conversation. This is a conversational piece right now. So if we're at the table, we're talking about selling your house. Actually, I was on the telephone with someone, and I said, I'd love to come to your house and show you how we could get your property listed. And she said, Derek, there's multiple ways for me to sell my house now. And I was like, I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to show you every possible way that you can do that and still have someone great like me represent you through the entire transaction. And then from here, once we present these options, we usually have people choose one. We know that 95% of the people are not going to pick the instant offers platform. 5% of them will though. And if those 5% choose that, then we'll give them every possible cash buyer out there that's not a bandit sign in the yard, right?
Right.
So we know that they're getting good, real offers that can actually close. And then the other two sections, either the trades or just the traditional list, are going to happen actually, but they usually just pick one. They always want to see the cash offers no matter what. So we'll try and get those for them, but they're really interested in either buy before you sell or listing. And on the JPAR trade section, what we found is about 30% of the people we present that offer to are taking it, which is really exciting for us because that's about the same number of people that didn't list their house last year because of COVID.
So how does that work? Buy before you sell? Are you helping them find another property first, or bridge loan or something? Or
yeah, there's a couple of different options. There's buy before you sell, or there's sell before you buy. It depends upon which one of our partners we present them to. But some of them we're just going to go out and purchase that property for you. You move into it, then you list your house, sell it. We move the equity into your new house. That's one way. Another way is we're just going to unlock some of the equity in your current house so you can use that to purchase your next house. It's usually 80, 90%.
Yeah.
And there's companies out there that are building brokerage models off of this section.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, we don't need to change the model. We just need to bring in the right partners to help us do this. And that helps. The next iteration of this is what they're terming a power buyer, which is actually being able to help us turn our buyers into cash buyers, even if they don't have a house to sell.
I've seen that, and that seems to make a lot of sense in this market because people
we've got that rolling out. I think first quarter next year, where we'll have a separate section for buyers versus sellers. Really
cool. So you guys are, instead of looking at the iBuyers and feeling threatened, you're adapting quickly. I've never seen I don't know of another brokerage that actually has a page like this live. I'm sure it's out there, but this is really cool. So, and then from a lead generation perspective, you're driving traffic to this, I assume. How are you exposing this to the market, through your agents, or is the corporate, is your company driving traffic here?
So our agents are driving traffic. Oh, I didn't mention the best part of this, by the way.
Go ahead.
The best part of this here is once you choose a section, whatever they're going to do, then we have concierges in the background that actually get the offers for our agents and send them the offers so that the agents can present them to their clients. It's also gives them points of contacts to go back and ask questions. So we wanted to, the biggest barrier we found for most of our agents was they didn't feel comfortable presenting some of these offers or even going out and getting them until they fully understood the program of each specific, individual company inside this platform.
Yeah.
And what we wanted to have them not worry about that. We want to have them say, let's get the offers in your hand. And then when you have questions about the offers, we'll give you someone to talk to.
Right.
So then they can just talk to whoever they want to talk. If they have a question about a knock offering, they can just call our SureSell team or the knock team and get specifics about what this specific thing means. So they're not stuck in that analysis by paralysis section.
I think this is so cool. It doesn't look like the traditional brokerage that I came into in the late 90s, right? Or that has been up till now, but it's still brokerage. You're matching sellers with buyers. The buyers may be an institutional, depending on the option here, but it's hardcore brokerage still.
Yeah, it's crazy. We have to adopt this, and then some, the actual fees that these iBuyers were charging used to be about 12%, and then they were like 80% of value, right? Well, now the fees are down below 6%, okay, and they're actually above estimated value, averaging about 105% of estimated value. So the offers are decent. You're still gonna, in a really competitive market, gonna beat them,
right?
Because that's based off of estimated value, and we just can't keep up. Estimated value can't keep up with actual value. And
in most cases, it still makes sense to list, depending on the seller situation. If it makes sense to get exposure from a competent pro for a longer time and really maximize your value, right? And this frames that conversation for you guys.
Right. But again, it's all consumer focused. The consumer picks the path.
Yeah.
We, as brokers, help them down the path. That's all our job is to do. So we don't sell them on this necessarily. But the other cool thing that is opened up for us, which you brought up earlier, was we now have a completely different call to action for sellers. The old call to action for sellers was always, what's your home worth?
Yeah.
And we know that's kind of been beaten down. Now we have like, hey, we'll give you like 5 cash offers in 3 days on your property. Would you like to see them?
How is
we can put that into that question onto a KV Core landing page.
Yep.
And from there, just reach out to the consumer. We can have them land on this page if we want to. We can have them land on another informational page on the agent's website. Whatever you want to have them land on after they fill out the form on Facebook. But I think it really helps.
Yeah.
Drive that question.
Oh, I love it. So yeah, you do a landing page that says, hey, get multiple offers on your home. You get them to give you your email, maybe a phone number before they get to this page. If they abandon the process, you still have the info. This is a great lead magnet. How does the agent get paid if the iBuyer, for lack of a better word, buys it? Is it the same split, or is it?
So sometimes the iBuyers actually offer commission to our agents.
Okay.
So that they'll pay a referral fee, basically.
Okay.
Other than that, it's not any different than representing a seller in a traditional sale. So we do have listing agreements signed, even if they're going to go do an iBuyer. The commission structure may be different, right? Because we want to be fair to all of our clients, and we want them to feel like we're being fair. So the next, we can tell them, look, we'll get you the cash offers, but it's not just one. I had one of the texts we got, but actually this guy unsubscribed. So he unsubscribed from the website, sent a text message first, said, I'm just going to go with an investor offer for my house. Thank you, unsubscribe. And I was like, oh, no, I'm going to give you a quick call. So we called him and said, hey, look, I understand you want to sell your house fast and you want to go with an offer. Who are you thinking about taking the offer from? He's like, oh, just this guy I saw on a billboard. And we said, how about this? We want to present to you, 6 or 7 other offers, and we will exclude that one offer from the listing agreement.
Yeah.
Very well knowing that the guy on the billboard is not going to pay what an institutional buyer is willing to pay these days.
Yeah. And
we wound up getting the listing agreement signed and he actually wound up going through a traditional sale after that. But all we needed to do was get our foot in the door. And it was fun to see the text message of, I'm just going to sell it to an institutional buyer, which usually would make most agents panic. For us, it was like, oh, cool, opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. So you may make a little bit less on the commission, but it's less work. You still serve the client, and it's amazing. To me, it's an amazing lead magnet to just give people a chance to get to a page like this.
Well, in most cases, we're making the same amount of money because we're presenting them all the offers. They pick one. We help, through the contracting part. We help through repair negotiations, because all that still happens. Right. Most of the time, they're still going to come back and ask for repairs. There's still negotiations involved. There's still contract to close follow-up. And if you're doing your contract to close right, that's a lot of steps. It's a lot of work. Looking at the title policy and all that other stuff. So we're earning our money, and we're usually making the same amount of money that we normally would make on a listing. We're just not necessarily have a buyer's agent commission on the other end of it, because they're institutional buyers who don't need one.
Yeah.
And those sometimes don't hit the market. Sometimes they just go straight to sale. But that's our client's decision, right? On whether or not they actually want to hit the market.
So I know it's not an issue right now, but I imagine if you have listings that you're having a hard time selling, this also becomes an option, that are listed the traditional route. And then you can always have this in your back pocket. The agent does if they're struggling with a listing.
Absolutely. Now, sometimes when it does get listed, and if it does age, then the institutional buyers may lower their number, but at least the number's still there, right? It's still if that seller decides that they just can't wait anymore because of whatever life experience they're going through, then we have backup for them to go. We have multiple backups. We have usually multiple cash offers before it goes live in MLS while the pictures are being taken. So
not to badmouth my wholesaler buddies, but this seems like a better deal than going through the bandit sign guy, as you alluded to earlier. He's just trying to get the best deal possible. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to disregard my investors out there, but it's a market where, it got more competitive all of a sudden. And I know these iBuyers aren't necessarily making money right now. Yeah. But they're doing what everyone else is doing, and they're trying to make money through ancillary services. They're playing a longer game too, and I think they see where assets are going value wise. Yeah. And for us, it's more about just being transparent, because if you don't bring that up to your client, are you really representing them in the best way? You're kind of hiding it or sweeping it under the rug. It feels dirty. It needs to be completely open and transparent. Yeah. But also, your value as an agent. Yeah, I don't want to, I need to be careful. We have a lot of customers here. You're one of our bigger ones here at Inside Real Estate and KB Ford. I just think what you guys are doing is a really good example of how real estate brokerage stays competitive right now. So for anybody watching us who, maybe you're smaller than JPAR or some of the other biggers, that just, I don't know. I think it's really cool of you, Derek, to be willing to share this stuff. I'm surprised you are willing to, but I guess it's public that you're doing. Yeah, we're not sharing you how we got here, right? We didn't show you how the sausage was made. We just presented the sausage to you. Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah. So smaller brokers, I guess you can either feel threatened by this and be put on alert, or just take this as a cue and say, hey, this is the kind of way you might need to be thinking right now, because this is where the consumers are going, and you guys are clearly going in that direction too, because you see where the market's at. Really cool. So we're getting up on 50 minutes. We usually try to keep these under an hour. Does anybody else have any questions? I know this is a little different. We like to have a guest from time to time. I've gotten a lot of value here, Derek. Thanks for coming on. Anything else big that you guys are doing that you want to share or any tips for agents just getting started with KV Core to leave us with?
Yeah, my biggest tip for agents just getting started in KV Core is just to make sure that you're doing it slowly, right? Take your time. Don't get bogged down in having to learn it all in a couple of hours. Or, I've had agents say that they've been working on it for a week and they're still not there yet. And I'm like, you just lost a week's worth of production.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're doing, you got to be out there meeting people, and you got to spend less time behind your computer and more time in front of a consumer. And then for us, the other stuff we're working on is to continue to have our amazing partnership with KV Core, but take it to the next level every time. So when you look at the KV Core that we're using, it doesn't really feel like, or the basics are there, but we want you guys to see some of the next level stuff that you can do with it that differentiates our tech stack and makes it just a little bit better. We're always pleased but not satisfied with our tech stack, and we're always trying to make it just a little bit better and easier to use and a little bit more functional, or just adding a little bit more value. And your team has helped us do that immensely. We're super excited about new changes that we're going to be rolling out with you guys as a major partner in January, which I can't talk about yet, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we don't talk a lot about how extensible and integratable KV Core is, but KV Core was actually built, I'm not going to allow for an organization like yours to kind of plug in other tools. That's what you're kind of getting at, right? You guys have been able to kind of build a custom solution around our main engine.
Yes. Yeah. And then also, we love being able to pull data out and then, use that or instantly onboard. That's other things that we've been able to use to instantly onboard people into the system, making it, from the time it takes once they sign up to getting an email with your KV Core login, a matter of 15 to 20 minutes versus, the next day we might have it inputted. So the tools that you guys have built on the back end that allow us to do some of those cool things make you, I think, the best partner for us in the marketplace. And we're just very thankful for the partnership that you guys have and the fact that you work with us on a daily basis to make things better for our agents.
Great. Yeah, that's great to hear. Well, you're certainly welcome back here anytime, Derek. You dropped some solid bombs on us. The feedback here in the chat has been awesome. Brittany, yeah, you can ask your question in just a second. And Brittany's saying thanks, Derek. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome, Brittany.
For anybody who has questions about anything you might have mentioned here, it's derek@jpar.com, DEREK. Do you mind if people email you?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So derek@jpar.com. And I'm sure if you're curious at all about JPAR, you can probably just go over there and check out what they're doing. And then, and until next time, Derek, hopefully we'll catch up with you in the Facebook group and elsewhere. But yeah, thanks again for being here today.
That's my pleasure.
All right. See you, man. Brittany, we can go ahead. I'll take your question live while we're still on. So Brittany had a quick question. You can hang out there if you want about Facebook ads.
I like to learn from you, always.
So Brittany's asking, cool. So she's asking the ad creative for Facebook lead ads. They no longer let you make those short video templates. Well, that would be a very sad day in my world if they don't. Let's take a look. So let's go over to Facebook. Go into a Facebook account. Derek, do you run ads? Actually, I'm forgetting. My brother actually works with you guys. He does the ads.
He does. He's amazing at it, by the way. It runs in the family.
Yeah. I completely overlooked that. Let's see. Create. I'm going to go to lead generation. This is what Brittany's talking about. She wants to make one of our video slideshow ads here. Go to new ad. So not the carousel. What Brittany's talking about is you come in here to media and you click create video. They're still there. Maybe you're going into a different section, Brittany. But they definitely changed this interface around and made it way more confusing in typical Facebook style. And Derek, I don't know if you know, you can kind of come in here. It's a little extra work, but you can take one of these templates and put an image and some text over it, and they perform really well. My brother's probably going to shoot me if I just made a whole bunch of extra work for him, but
no, they do. They perform really, really well. It's that pattern interruption that makes people stop scrolling.
Yeah. So yeah, they're still there, Brittany. Well, Derek, thanks again, man. I think we're good for today. The replay should be live on our YouTube channel instantly. If you want to share that around, Derek, if you want people at your company to look at it, it's Inside Real Estate on YouTube, insiderealestate.com/webinars. All right.